Morning. Well, I got another update video for things that I've been seeing around during this whole outbreak situation. I was watching some videos yesterday, and Colin Noir had one that popped up, and he mentioned something in a video that the police in certain areas are no longer going to be showing up. So I did some looking around, and I just typed it into Google. I said, police departments no longer showing up to calls. And I found just a whole list of cities. The Dallas police, police departments in California, Michigan, Ohio. They were just kind of all over the country saying that they will no longer be showing up to certain types of calls. One of them said that they will no longer even be showing up to assault calls unless the suspect is still there or if the victim requires medical attention. Because they've been having more officers that are contracting the virus and are testing positive, so they're having their staff is lowering down. They're having to move to different locations because the virus is in their department building. And I told my family, I said it's only a matter of time before that starts to happen here in our neighborhood. So I hope y'all have some protective measures in place to make sure that you're covered if that does happen, because the way things have been looking like they're going is as soon as one area says, okay, we're going to do this, the rest of the country starts to follow. That'll be the next wave that goes through. And I'll say everybody social distance yourselves, and that starts over here. Well, then other places around the country start saying, hey, we need to start social distancing as well. Okay, everybody stay home for 2 weeks. All right, everybody stay home for 2 weeks. We're shut down for a month. Okay, we're all shut down for a month, and they kind of trickle in with who is going to do that, and that becomes kind of the majority of the way the country becomes. So if the police department over here says, hey, we're going to stop showing up for these kinds of calls, then another city, hey, well, we're not going to show up for those kind of calls either. Well, we're not going to show up, and we're not going to show up, and then it just starts popping up all over the place. And so I'm predicting that could be the way that most of the country starts to go, to where, hey, if something happens, you call the police. Well, unless it meets this certain criteria, we're not going to show up. You're on your own. So I hope y'all are prepared for a situation like that. If you're not, try to get to the point to where you have some measures in place as much as you can before it comes to your backyard. I'm glad that I went through the house over the years, and I kind of reinforced a bunch of things. I got everything together in the event that the police will no longer show up, and it's up to me to protect my family. So that's just the latest thing that I've heard. I've got it up on the computer right here. California cops are refusing to answer suicide calls. Cincinnati police temporarily suspending in-person response. There's another one about California. There was Dallas. They had a bunch of other cities that are saying, if this happens, we're no longer responding to vehicle theft. We're no longer responding in person to property theft. We're no longer responding to suicide calls. We're no longer responding to assault calls. So it could get a little more messy in those regards, to where, because once it comes out on the news like that, and you think, well, I may potentially be on my own for these situations. What do you think the criminal element is thinking about it? They hear that. They hear anything about, we're going to lower our responses We're not going to show up to certain types of calls. We're not going to show up unless it's an absolute emergency. The criminal element of it is thinking, hey, this is our opportunity. We can go have more free reign, and they're going to be so tied up with things that we're going to be long gone by the time they get there, if they get there. So make sure y'all are ready for that. Reinforce your doors. Keep your windows locked. All those kinds of precautions. If you have the opportunity, I encourage you to get a gun. That is just an any day thing. Everybody should be armed, just in the event that they might need it. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And I know you've heard that a million times, to the point where you're annoyed by the saying, but it's still true. It's better to have something rather than need something that you never got. So keep an eye on your families, keep an eye on your friends, check in with each other, and everybody stay safe. I'm going to get back to work, so y'all be good.